In the quiet moments, that's where I'll find a little room to breathe, leave it all behind. Give me room to breathe, I need some time to heal my heart, to clear my mind. Gonna love myself, yeah, I believe in the power of me. Just give me room to breathe.
Great new day to all my self-care friends and family. Welcome back to another Room to Breathe podcast. I am your host, Life Coach 614, and I am so glad that you've made space to be here with us today. Now, before we get into today's episode, do me a quick favor. If you're feeling the vibe, go ahead and show some love. Tap the screen, like, comment, and be sure to share this out with someone who might need a little healing energy today. And if this is your first time here or you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit the follow button. Subscribe to our channel so that way you're tapped in when a new episode drops. I also want to personally invite you to check out our digital home at theselfcareclub.org, where you'll find everything from affirmative apparel to motivational merch and free resources to help nourish your growth and remind you that you're supported every step of the way. Just know that you don't have to do this alone. We are healing in community, growing one breath, one moment, one day at a time. So today, give yourself permission to pause, to reflect, and to make space for peace, for growth, most importantly, for you. Now, if anything in today's episode hits home, be sure to drop some green hearts in the chat. It is our way of saying, I am healing, I'm growing, and I'm showing up for me. Now, let's get ready to breathe, reflect, and grow together. Listen, family, today's conversation comes from something so simple yet so powerful, right? A match and a candle. Yeah, I know, you're probably thinking, Coach, a match and a candle for real? Like, really? But just hear me out, okay? Because sometimes it's the smallest things that can carry the deepest lessons about how we show up in life, how we connect with people, and how we pour our energy into the world. Now, let's start with the match, okay? Now, a match is quick, right? It's fiery, it's loud, it's bold, it's powerful, but it doesn't last long. And that's the beauty of it, right? Its purpose is to ignite something else, to start a fire, to spark change. And in life, some people and experiences are just like that. They're in your life just long enough to push you, to wake something inside of you, to give you a taste of possibility. Think about, a time when someone came into your life, maybe just for a season, and it shifted everything for you, right? Maybe it was a friend who challenged you to see your worth, or a mentor who believed in you when no one else did. Maybe it was a relationship that burned bright but short-lived. But it did spark realization that I deserve better, or I'm stronger than I thought. That, family, is what we call a match moment. Welcome in, Cardi. Now, in the contrast, we've got the candle. Welcome in, Brandon. Right? So we talked about the match. Let's talk about this candle, right? See, a candle is a steady being, right? It burns slowly. It's patient, consistent, enduring. It offers warmth and light over time. Candles are the people and experiences in your life who stay, who don't just show up in the dark when life gets heavy, when it would be easier for you to just kind of walk away, right? For them to just walk away. The candles are the constants, your support, the lights that guide you through the long seasons. And here's where most of us get it twisted. Sometimes we're trying to be a candle when we were only ever meant to be a match. Sometimes we expect a match to burn like a candle, and that's exhausting. That's draining, right? That's self-abandonment in its rawest form. Let me give you guys like some real life examples. I can remember a time in my life when I had a friend, an amazing, bright soul, who came into my life for what felt like a forever moment. But in reality, it was just a short season. I leaned on them heavily, expecting them to always be there, to always be, my steady candle. And when they naturally pulled back, I felt hurt and frustrated and even betrayed. But as I sat in reflection, I realized that they were never supposed to be my candle. They were my spark, right? Their purpose was simply to ignite something in me. And once that fire was lit, their job was done. Welcome in, Janelle. And, that's the lesson, family. Every person, every moment, every experience in our life has a role. And knowing the difference is everything when it comes to your peace, your energy, and your growth. So today, as we talk about matches and candles, I want you to lean in and ask yourself, where in my life am I showing up as a candle when I'm only meant to be a spark? Where am I expecting someone else to be a candle when they were only meant to ignite the moment? So as we lean into this, I want you guys to take a deep breath with me. Inhale slowly. Exhale fully. This is your sacred pause, right? Your moment to reflect, your chance to just breathe and reclaim your energy. Over the next hour, we are going to explore the sparks that push us forward, the steady lights that sustain us, and the wisdom to know when to strike and when to glow. By the end of today's conversation, my hope is that you'll see the people, the experiences, and the seasons of your life with fresh eyes. And most importantly, that you'll honor your own energy and your own purpose. Because family, here's the truth. You were made to ignite and you were made to glow. It's not one or the other. And when you understand the difference, you'll start to live in peace with yourself, with others, and with your divine path. So we're going to start again with this match. All right. We're going to really dig deep into the match. And so when you think of the match, that is the spark of purpose. Okay. And again, yes, this is something that's so small, but a match is so powerful, right? So when we think about the match, what do we know? We know that a match is quick, right? It burns bright. It is bold. It is intense. Thank you, Dela Flair. But it only lasts for a moment. That's its purpose, right? Its purpose is not to stay lit forever. It has one job, and that is to ignite something else, to spark a fire, to light a path, right? To set motion, to something bigger, right? Hey, coach, something bigger than itself. So now let's think about your life for a second. There are people, moments, and experiences that come in just long enough to make a difference, but they don't stay. And sometimes that hurts us, right? Because we live in a world where permanence is praised and the temporary is just questioned. And, temporary doesn't necessarily mean insignificant. Let me break it down for you. Maybe there was a teacher, right? Just one class, just one session, right? That changed the way you saw yourself, your potential, your life path. Years later, you still carry those words. And, they shape the decisions you make every single day. That was a match. That teacher was never meant to be in your life forever. They just sparked something inside of you. Maybe you dated someone for a few months. And even though it didn't work out, that short-lived relationship taught you that things that you would no longer tolerate. Maybe it revealed patterns to you. Maybe it awakened, self-love that you didn't know that you had. Maybe it nudged you forward towards boundaries that you hadn't yet set. That person, that relationship was a match. It sparked a lesson and then it moved on. Maybe a stranger, someone you didn't even know, handed you an opportunity, be it a tip, a connection, or a perspective that changed your career, your health, or your mindset. They were in your life just for that moment. They were a match. And their job was done once the spark had landed. See, family, the match is simply a reminder that purpose doesn't always come with permanence. And this is where a lot of us get tripped up. We try to stretch matches into candles. We try to hold on to sparks as if they're supposed to burn forever. And when they naturally burn out, we feel hurt. We feel rejected and abandoned. But here's a deeper layer. Sometimes you're a match, right? Sometimes we ourselves are the match. Maybe you've walked into someone else's life and sparked a thought, a feeling, or a healing process. Maybe you've encouraged, inspired, or pushed someone else just enough for them to take the next step forward. And then your role is done. You can't and you shouldn't stay forever. That's the sacredness of the spark, because it has its season. Family, we live in a world where everyone is trying to hold on to everything. We are taught to cling, to preserve, right? To never let go. But the match teaches us to release. It teaches us to honor purpose, even in the short encounters. Sometimes showing up for the moment is enough. Sometimes just a few words, a few gestures, a few minutes of your energy can change someone else's life permanently, even though you may never see it. I want you guys to take a moment right now and just think about a match moment in your life. Who sparked, something in you, even if they didn't stay? Was it a friend, a teacher, a stranger, a lover, or even a moment that felt painful but transformative? I want you to hold that thought. I want you to honor that thought, because that spark mattered. And it mattered exactly as long as it was meant to. See, matches remind us that your presence has power, even when it's temporary. And it also reminds us to, recognize the temporary role of other people. So that way we can stop trying to force permanence where it was never intended. Welcome in, Sean. So now let's jump over to the candle. Thank you. Now that we've talked about the match, the quick fiery spark, it's time to slow it down and talk about the candle. See, the candle is different. Once it's lit, it can burn for hours. It doesn't pop. It doesn't flare up. It doesn't burn itself out in some dramatic moment. The candle just glows, right? Steady, quiet, dependable. And that, family, is the energy of consistency. Let me give you some examples. Think about that friend who's always in your corner, not just showing up when it's fun or easy, but they're there even when life gets messy. The friend who sits with you on the couch while you cry, who sends you a text message just to check in, or who remembers your birthday even when the world seems to forget. That's a candle. They may not be flashy, but they are steady, right? And let me tell you, those friends are rare. So you have to appreciate them. You need to call them. You need to tap in with them and stay connected to them. Thank them. Or think about your journaling practice, right? Your daily walk, your prayer time, or that self-care ritual that you keep coming back to. It may not feel glamorous or exciting every day, but over time, it builds your strength. It keeps reminding you, that your mind and your heart are aligning. That's a candle too. And let's not forget about our faith, right? Our spiritual practices, your quiet trust, your belief that even when life is heavy, you're not alone. That faith that we hold on to is also like a candle lighting the path when everything else can feel dark. It doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't demand recognition. It simply is. It just is. And it's quietly guiding you through life. See, family, here's the thing. Real transformation is not fast. Healing is not a match. It's a candle, right? It's daily work, showing up for yourself bit by bit. And it's pacing, yourself so the flame doesn't go out before the work is done. I remember a season in my life where I was going through major transition. Everything felt unstable. And when I say everything, I'm talking about my career, my relationships, even my sense of self, if I'm being honest with you. And there was this one person just quietly in the background, consistently checking in on me, sending me encouragement, and believing in me when I couldn't even believe in myself. And at the time, I didn't fully appreciate it. I thought, why are they so consistent? Right? Aren't they tired of me yet? They not sick of me yet? But looking back, that consistency, that candle, was what was keeping me moving forward. It reminded me that I wasn't alone, even when I felt completely isolated. And here's another thing. Just like the match has to sacrifice itself to light the candle, somebody or something had to spark you so that you can glow steadily. Thank you, Janelle. Maybe it was a teacher, a mentor, or like I said, a short relationship, or even a difficult moment that woke up something inside of you. It was that spark, right? Whatever it is what allowed you to, your candle inside of you to ignite. And that's the beauty of it. You don't have to create the spark for yourself every day. Sometimes it's already been done for you. And now it's just time for you to simply maintain your light. You get to just glow. And so here's a gentle reminder. Being a candle doesn't mean you have to burn yourself out. You don't have to shine for everyone and be everything for everybody. Sometimes being a candle is just simple, just as simple as showing up for yourself, taking time to rest, refilling your own energy, protecting your own flame so it can burn continuously, so you can glow steadily. Welcome in, No Fear, No Doubt. So right now, I want you to think, who or what has been a candle in your life? Who gives you a steady glow, even if sometimes you take them for granted? Maybe it's a friend, a mentor, or a family member, perhaps even your faith, right? Even a personal ritual that grounds you. Hold them in your heart for just a moment and honor them. And family, if you're listening to this or watching this on the replay later, I just want you to take this opportunity to drop a green heart in the chat right now for all the candles in your life. Let's honor the steady lights that sustain us, that guide us, and that remember us to and remind us to keep showing up for ourselves. And here's one more thing, you guys. Matches are beautiful for sparking change, but candles are also essential for enduring transformation. See, the spark gets you started, but the candle carries you through. So we don't have to choose. Thank you, fam. We don't have to choose. We need them both, right? And sometimes just knowing the difference between the two is what keeps our flame alive. So today, again, take a moment to just pause. Look at your life and who sparks you and who sustains you. Who do you allow to ignite your flame? And who do you let steady it? And remember this, being a candle is sacred. It is powerful. It's a quiet strength. And your steady glow matters. Even if no one else notices it, it matters. Now, I want to also take some time to discuss the balance that is needed, right? Knowing when you're a match and knowing when you're the candle. Because it is really important to understand the difference, right? This is the moment where the soul work really starts to come in. Because again, let's be honest, most of our pain and our disappointment and even our burnout comes from us confusing our role in somebody else's life. Here's what I mean. Sometimes we are trying to be a candle in a space where God only called us to be a match. Welcome in, Brooks. I'm going to say that again. Sometimes we are trying to be a candle in a space where God only intended for us to be a match. And if that one don't bless you, try this. Sometimes we expect a match to burn like a candle. Right? And when we get it twisted, we end up frustrated and drained and questioning our worth. I'm going to break it down for you. Maybe you stepped into someone else's life to help them during a crisis, right? You sparked their healing journey. You've planted a seed. You got them started. Coaches, I know y'all understand this, right? You plant that seed and you help them through. But instead of releasing your role, you tried to stay. You tried to carry them the whole way. And now you're empty because you gave more than you had to give. It's like babysitting someone else's flame that you were never meant to hold forever. So you got to know when to let go. Right? You sparked it. You taught them all that you could teach. Now you have to let them go. When, think about when you expected a match to burn like a candle. How many of us have done this in relationships? Who could be honest? We expected that relationship to last longer than what God intended for it to. Someone comes into your life and makes you feel alive. They inspire you. They challenge you, right? Trey's mom, welcome in. They inspire you. They uplift you. And then they're gone. And instead of honoring the spark that they gave you, you hold on. You chase, you beg, you replay. But listen, family, they were a spark, not a sustainer. Their job was to never, ever, ever be your candle. And when you force a match to do what it was never designed to do, all you get is smoke and ashes. Think about that person you thought was the one. Right? We all had the person, some of us have more than one person, where we thought they are the one, right? At first, it's exciting, it is passionate, but honey, it is short-lived. You try to stretch 3 months of sparks into a lifetime commitment. But family, listen, sometimes those sparks are just meant to show you what's possible, not to carry you forever. Welcome in, Tiff. Thank you so much. Right? There's also, friends, right? There are friends who are our ride or die candles. They sit with you in your darkest moment, right? And then there are your match friends who show up in the moment, add something powerful to your journey, and then they just fade out. Both have value. So we have to stop shaming people for not being what they were never meant to be. Both serve a purpose. Goodness gracious, I'm getting all tongue-tied. Both serve a purpose. You know, and then, okay, let's take it even to our career and purpose, right? Even jobs and opportunities can be match moments. Maybe the position that you had for a year was never meant to turn into your career forever, but it did spark a skill, a connection, or a confidence in you that carried you to your next level. So don't despise the spark just because it didn't last long. We've got to stop trying to drag people into lifelong roles that they only auditioned for a cameo. Let me say that again for the people in the back, okay? Everybody in your story is not meant to be a main character. Some people in your life are just extras. Some are for cameos. Some are on-scene wonders that walk in, they deliver one powerful line, and then they exit stage left. And that's okay. But here's where we get stuck, right? We confuse their role. We see the spark, and instead of letting it be what it is, we stretch it into some sort of forever expectation. And then we're surprised when they can't hold the weight. We judge, we get angry with them because they can't carry what was never theirs to carry in the first place. That was never their role. We have to stop trying to make matches into candles because they were never designed for that. Because when you continue to push it and force it, let me tell you what happens. You end up with resentment. You're mad because they couldn't even give you what you thought they owed you. You end up with exhaustion. You're pouring energy into every connection that was never built to last in the first place. And worst of all, you end up with self-abandonment. You're shrinking, twisting, bending yourself out of shape just to hold on to something that was always intended to be temporary. You'll find yourself begging someone to show up in a way that they were never created to show up. That's like being mad at a match because it burned out. That's what matches do. It did its job. It gave you a spark. The rest is on you. And you know, here's the twist. It's not always about them. Sometimes it's about you. Sometimes you are the one who needs to stop playing the role of a candle in everybody else's story. I mean, let's be real. How many of us are out here trying to be the eternal flame for everybody? Lighting up for your family, your friends, your coworkers, your community. Hell, some of us are trying to light up for even strangers on the internet, right? Burning and burning until there is nothing left in you. But you can't be everybody's forever flame. That's not your assignment. Sometimes your role is just to spark and step away. Right, bro? Like, sometimes you're just supposed to light it up and walk away. Sometimes your job is simply to plant the seed or start the fire, inspire the thought, and then leave the space for them to tend to their own flame. When you hold on for too long, you don't just rob yourself of peace, but you rob them of their growth. If you keep trying to carry their flame, they will never learn how to carry it themselves. So our healing reminder today is that not everyone is meant to stay. Not every fire is meant to last, but every spark has a purpose, and so do you. If you guys are feeling this, if y'all still with me, drop a flame or a candle in the chat right now. Right? For every single match moment that you've had in your life, and you recognize that, you know what, there are some things that I just need to release. Or like I said, if you drop a flame or drop a candle, right? For everyone that you can think of that has been, you know, holding you down and being a steady constant in your life. And, you know, we're going to start to determine, how do we know the difference, right? How do we know which role we are in? Hi, Hatton. Welcome in. Well, we have to do some soul check-ins, right? To sit back and honestly analyze what's our role. And so it's something called an energy audit, where, you know, we just ask ourselves, do I feel drained or sustained in this relationship? If drained, maybe I'm forcing myself to be a candle, right? Maybe I'm just supposed to be a match. Maybe it's time for me to walk away. In addition to an energy audit, there's something called an impact audit. And that's where you start to think, did this person serve a short-term purpose already? Am I holding on out of fear, right? Is there some sort of fear of letting go? Thank you, Trey's mom. Welcome in, Dream. And then we do an alignment audit. Welcome in, Kale. Is this connection helping me grow steady? Or was this just a spark to shift me forward, to help push me forward? Where in your life are you showing up as a candle where you were only meant to be a match? Where are you asking someone else to be a candle where they were only meant to be a match? And, you know, this is a difficult reflection for some of us to go through, because it also means that there are things that we start to recognize that we are going to need to let go of, for us and for them. But as we begin to release, we have to release that guilt that comes with it. Release that expectation. It doesn't mean that a spark wasn't valuable. It just means that they've already served their purpose and we must release them. You know, and we need to release in order, you know, we need to release this idea of stretching sparks into forever flames. You know, we have to honor matches for what they are and protect our energy as the candle that we are truly called to be. And you know what? I can even take this a step further. Let's talk about this on a spiritual level. The spiritual side of matches and candles, because it isn't just about people, it's about purpose, right? It's about timing. It's about divine design. So here's the thing. God is intentional, right? This we know. Every spark, every light in your life, it's there for a reason. And so sometimes God places people in your path just for a spark. They show up to ignite something inside of you. Maybe it's confidence, maybe it's courage or clarity, or even just a push to leave a situation that you've been stuck in. And then they leave. Their role was to never walk with you forever. Think about, you know, that friend who popped into your life for just a few months, but they taught you how to love yourself differently. Or that mentor who only had time to, you know, speak a few words of wisdom to you, but those words shaped the way that you see everything today. Even that relationship that didn't last, right? But even though it didn't last, it made you realize your worth. That's a match moment. It was short-lived, but we can all admit that it was powerful. Welcome in, Rye Guy. And you know, sometimes we forget that. We hold on, we chase, we expect the match to become the candle, right? And then we feel hurt, we feel frustrated or disappointed. But the spark did exactly what it was supposed to do. It lit the way and it left because that was its assignment. Now think about the candles. Again, we know candles are steady. They're consistent. They're the lights that guide you through the long nights. Think about the people in your life who have stayed with you through thick and thin. They don't just pop in when it's convenient. They show up when it hurts. When life feels heavy, they're still there. Those are candles. And here's the beauty of it. Sometimes you are the candle for everyone else. Not everyone, somebody else. Because obviously we cannot be a candle for everyone. But again, sometimes you're the candle for somebody else. Maybe you've been the steady friend, the reliable mentor, right? The source of light when someone else couldn't find their own way. And that's okay because your light is meaningful. But here's the lesson. Your light isn't infinite. You can't burn yourself out trying to be the candle for everybody. Welcome in, Letha. God wants us to trust divine timing. Every spark, every candle, every person, every season is a part of the journey. He is crafting us. Sometimes the sparks, become the push that just pushes us forward, right? Sometimes the candle comes to sustain us. And sometimes the match and the candle show up in the same season, but for very different reasons. Think about it like this. The spark shows up and shows us possibility. The candle reminds us of what's real and what lasts. Both are very necessary in our life. Both are valuable. Both have their own role. But the key is recognizing which one is in front of you in the moment so you don't misplace your expectations. I want you all to think about your own lives for just a moment. Who has been a spark? Who has been a candle? Who are you for others? Because recognizing this difference can set you free from trying to force relationships and situations and, just people into roles that they were never meant to hold. And I want you guys to remember, even if a spark disappears, even if a candle burns down, you are never without light. Because God's light is eternal. His presence never leaves us. And every spark, every glow is simply a reflection of his perfect timing for your life. So it's time to trust it. Lean into it. And, when you see a spark, enjoy it. When you find a candle, cherish it. And when you are the spark or the candle, know that your purpose is sacred. Now, I want to talk about carrying that light forward, because now we know the difference, right? Both bring joy, both spark something in our lives. Hey, Twist of Love. So now that we've sat with the matches and the candles, let's talk about what it actually looks like to live this out, right? Because this is bigger than just a philosophy, right? This is real life we're doing. Every day, we're being asked to decide, am I a match? Am I a candle? Or am I trying to stretch myself am I trying to stretch myself or someone else into a role that isn't really theirs? And I honestly think that this could be one of the hardest lessons in life, right? Learning what to let go of. Learning, the difference between what's meant to stay and what was never meant to stay. And I've been there. I think we can all agree that, we've all met someone, felt the spark, or, your heart starts imagining forever with someone and then they leave. And suddenly you're left wondering, why didn't they stay? Was I not good enough? Am I not enough? But the truth is they already did exactly what they were meant to do. They lit up something inside of you, and that's enough. That's the beauty of it, right? That's powerful when you think about it. That's growth. And so the same goes for the candles. Some people come into our life to stay. They're steady, they're reliable, they hold space for you when you're falling apart, and that's beautiful too. But even here, there's wisdom and discernment. We have to begin to recognize who's truly a candle and who's just here, who's just maybe like one, that we just desperately want them to be one so bad. Because not everybody is meant to hold your flame. Some are just meant, like I keep saying, to spark it. And sometimes we are the ones that are showing up, doing this very thing, forcing our presence on someone for too long. Sometimes we get tired because we're out here candling, everybody else's life except our own. We are pouring energy into relationships and jobs and opportunities, even communities, right? Virtual or, face to face, that are just draining us. And we forget that we have to tend to our own flame too. See, that's where boundaries come in, right? That's where saying no becomes an act of self-care. Saying this isn't my flame to carry is an act of wisdom, not selfishness. So how do we navigate this in real life? How do we decide when to be a match and when to be a candle? How do we know when to step away? Honestly, I just think that it comes down to energy awareness. You have to check in with yourself, asking yourself, again, does this feel uplifting or is it draining me? I had this conversation earlier last week with you guys about, a particular social media app. And I had to check in with myself to say, okay, is this app, does me showing up over here daily pour into me? Is it draining me? Am I showing up, forcing something that was just supposed to be short term? And have I outgrown my stay, or outstayed the time that I was meant to be there? And so that's the check-in with ourselves. Asking ourselves, does this person, does this app, does this community, whatever, inspire me to grow? Or is it that I'm just taking up space? Am I just holding space for everybody else to be comfortable? Sometimes letting go of the match is scary because we're afraid of being alone. And that's something that we just have to admit. That's something that we have to work on, right? Being alone doesn't mean that you're going to be in the darkness, because each and every one of us carry our own light. And God is intentional. So he puts sparks and steady lights exactly where they need them to be. So every spark comes with a lesson. Every candle has its purpose. And sometimes our assignment is just simply to show up, spark the flame, and step away. My encouragement for you is that you start noticing your roles in your life. Start noticing other people's roles in your life. That we begin to appreciate the matches for what they brought us without holding on too tight. That we begin to protect the candles in our life and honor them and let them nourish us. But I think the most important thing that I want for us is for us to stop apologizing for tending to our own light. Stop feeling guilty for not being everyone's candle. And understand that your energy is sacred, that your time is valuable, and that your flame is enough. Because at the end of the day, the message is simple. Every spark, every glow, every flame has a purpose. And you're never without light. I mean, that's just the key takeaway. Regardless, we are never without light. Now, before we part ways today, I want to leave you all with a little love and light. As always, I want to encourage you to keep breathing through the highs, the lows, and every single moment in between. I want you to keep choosing peace, even when it feels just out of reach. And know that here at the Self-Care Club, you will always be seen, always valued, and always supported. So don't be afraid to take up space, speak your truth, and make a little room for you to breathe. I love each and every one of you to life, and I am praying that your day is not just amazing, but aligned, intentional, and yes, on purpose, filled with purpose. This has been another Room to Breathe podcast, and I cannot wait to connect with you all soon. Thank you.